Good morning, it's Anna, and today is January 15th. It's a Wednesday, and it is just after 6 o'clock in the morning here in a very cold, snowy Michigan morning. And my panic partner, Amanda, and I had talked about just getting kind of a Reader's Digest version of our struggle with anxiety and mental illness and mental health and wellness issues to kind of kick off our journey, I think is what we've decided to call it together. And actually, we just have the website. We purchased that last night, and it actually doesn't have anything on it yet at all. So I'm going to just speak from the idea that we've already posted, how we came to want to do this together, and what we are hoping to get out of it, and just go straight toward my personal experience with this. I decided that, we really want this to be a raw, honest, emotional journey. And for me to really do that, I wanted to start right away making myself a little bit uncomfortable and just coming from a place of just having woken up and my very first day, very diary cam, in my zebra blankie and, bedhead, that kind of thing. I have very recently realized, and honestly, it was the night before last, just how long I've been dealing with this anxiety. And that dates all the way back to my very first memories that I now realize were a panic attack. I was probably 6 years old. And I, until the night before last, didn't know that's what it was. And I'm not entirely sure why it dawned on me that way. It was a very difficult time in my life. My early childhood was difficult. We were in the middle of a home that was filled with abuse emotionally and physically. And I just remember waking up in the middle of the night sometimes and just feeling so out of my body, out of control, which was something, that I didn't have at that time, or a lot of security or safety, and I didn't know where to go. I didn't have a place to turn to with that. That's going to be something that I'm going to have to really work through and process as we move forward with this, because I'm not sure that I fully understand, and I certainly can't appreciate yet the ramifications of how that affected me moving forward in my life. And it was a very difficult transition period when we moved out of that environment to a place that was filled with love and starting to be a place of respect for everyone in our home, with once my other biological parent got custody of us, and we ended up becoming a blended family, a large blended family a year later. And, coming into a home with 5 children who each had a lot of abandonment issues from their other parent, I don't really think that my parents at the time, who are no longer together, understood just how much each of us needed individually. And it was never that they were unwilling to give us that. I just don't think they knew how. And I became pretty depressed. And nothing was followed through as far as getting any sort of treatments going for me or my siblings. And it was a very up and down thing. It seems to be maybe a seasonal thing for me. Mental illness, especially anxiety and seasonal depression, runs in my family, both sides, as well as those substance abuse issues, alcoholism mainly. And I just remember it being very up and down. I'd be doing really well, and then I'd go through this 6-week period of not doing well. And through middle school and into high school especially, I was just so immersed in anything I could get my hands on. School had always been an escape for me. And when my blended family split up at the end of my freshman year, it was extremely difficult because that was the only time I had ever let myself get comfortable thinking that this might not go away. And very quickly it did. And we grew up in a very small town, both Amanda, my panic partner, and I, together. And so we couldn't separate ourselves. There was no way. I still went to school with my step-siblings. We all very much tried to keep a united front. And it was only until within the last year that we've really realized that we're separate families, and we needed to kind of go our own ways. And that was one of the most difficult things that has ever happened to me. But my current journey with this wave of the anxiety, I suppose, tide, really began after the birth of our second daughter. My husband and I have been married for 5 years, 4 months, 12 days. And he's amazing, perfect, wonderful. And I am very secure and very loved and very safe. And so I was very mad at myself when all of these issues started again, because I realized that they are unfortunately not even tied to my security. I thought I built this life free of these things, and that didn't happen. We had just purchased our home 2 months before our second daughter was born. Our girls are only 15 months apart, and we moved not far away, but far enough away that my friends and I can't just stop by every day. It takes a little bit more planning, between 35 and 45 minutes away. And, with everyone in their lives, things just happen. And I started to become pretty isolated, which is one of the worst things for people with mental health issues. And that's one of the things we're really striving to prevent with our panic partner. And I think some of it was postpartum as well. And I think postpartum anxiety is very much overlooked. I actually was told by a nurse practitioner that it doesn't exist. And that seemed very strange to me because of the very real dangers of postpartum depression. And it seemed to me like that would just be a hormonal swing in the opposite direction. But I really believe that some of that was tied into it. And that was the first time in my life that anxiety got debilitating for me. It consumed my life. And being a stay-at-home mother, after my husband went back to work 2 weeks after our second daughter was born, I just was alone and consumed by these thoughts of anxiety. And, as other sufferers of anxiety, I know I don't have to explain the insanely irrational fears that you feel, that you're almost embarrassed to say out loud, because when you're in a good place, those things make no sense. And mostly for me, I'm always convinced in some way or another that I'm dying, that I have some terrible terminal illness, and I'm going to leave my family behind. And I know that maybe that's tied into some things from my childhood as well. But I would find it interesting that they would manifest themselves in this way, and we have no control over them. It's just difficult. And it got bad, and I started talking to people, and I was really, really, really saddened by how many people kept brushing it off, or pacifying it, or justifying it, or telling me to just get through it. And I knew I was struggling, and I wasn't going to be able to keep doing this on my own for much longer. And I finally was able to get someone to kind of listen to me. I went and saw my doctor, and she prescribed Xanax to me right away, and wanted me to start that day. And that was very scary for me. And it wasn't something I wanted to do. Both of my births even were drug-free. I didn't have an epidural, and I don't even take Tylenol in my daily life. And the thought of needing that and needing maybe to be dependent upon that was very difficult for me to accept. But I knew I couldn't go on the way that I was, because I wasn't having any quality of life. And it was taking away from me bonding with my new child, and I was having a difficult time caring for my 15-month-old. And so I knew that was something I needed to do. Recommended daily start dose for Xanax is 3 quarter milligram pills a day. And my doctor had me take half of one. I have a very low tolerance to that kind of thing. And definitely the worst thing for me was having to nurse my daughter, Willow, for the last time, and know that was a conscious decision. She was only 4 months old, so that I could go on these meds. And I really felt like a failure. So I did that, and I made it a whole moment for us. And then I began the medicated portion of my life. And for some people, that's really good. And it really gives them what they need. But what we know is medication doesn't cure anxiety. It just masks it. And if you mask it for too long, it can be worse when you try to deal with it in other ways. I will say that I took that first pill, and within 20 minutes, high as a kite, let me tell you. But I slept for the first time in months. 3 hours. Knocked me out. And my body was finally able to come down from that adrenaline, just long enough to get some peace and some rest. And I stayed on the Xanax for 8 months. And it really did allow me to come out of this almost comatose state of perpetual fear, and look into even other ways that I could manage my anxiety, and particularly the panic attacks. And I tried to wean myself off the first time and realized I wasn't ready. It was a 2-week process of stepping myself down with my doses. Trying to cut a pill into quarters is not easy, but I went from half a pill to a quarter, and then went to every other day, and then stopped. And even then, still, I felt I was in a withdrawal for about 3 days. And I remember saying to my husband, if this is what it's going to be like, I can't stop because this is horrible. I feel so much worse than I did before. And I went to sleep that night just feeling so broken. But the next day it was like coming out of a dense fog into like myself again. Is the best way I can think to describe it. And so I have been off the medication. Well, let's see. That would have been about a year total, and Willow's 2.5. So about a year and a half. And that's been difficult. I have good days, I have bad days. Interestingly, the panic attacks only seem to occur in the middle of the night. If I'm awakened suddenly, or something has frightened me, or particularly noises that I can't place. I'm not sure why that is so overwhelming for me, but if there's a new noise in my environment and I don't know what it is, I like freak out about it. And things have been not easy the last couple of weeks. And it's winter, and it's hard for me. And it's been a really hard winter. I know a lot of other people can appreciate that, too. I mean, there's not have been a lot of times where it's been comfortable to be outside or physically safe. Minus, 30 is not a great time to go out and try and catch your vitamin D from the fleeting rays in between the heavy flakes. So I've decided I'm not going to do it alone anymore. And it isn't that my husband isn't an amazing support system. It's not that I don't feel so much unconditional love for my children. It's just that, thankfully, they can't understand because that's not where they are. And I needed somebody who could understand and know that I can't motivate myself when I'm that afraid. So that's why my panic partner Amanda and I are going to do this together, and I'm just so excited. And I'm up at 6 a.m. doing this, and I'm going to have my little hot herbal tea, which is one of my goals, is to do that in the morning and at night. And it's called the Tension Tamer, and there was a dragon on it. And it's my Chinese horoscope symbol, the dragon. So that's pretty exciting. I feel like that has good meaning. And it's called the Tension Tamer, which can't hurt. And then I'm going to start with my yoga, and obviously, the exercising and is really what we're focused on. But this is going to be, multifaceted journey, and we're going to try things that work and we're going to try things that don't work. But that's the one thing we really want to stay consistent, is that we're getting that in every day. So I'm very excited. I think it's excellent that even though Amanda and I come from the same place, growing up, that we're very different. We lead very different daily lives. I'm a mommy, and so other mommies can appreciate that I've been tired since early 2010. And I stay at home, and I try to be the best wife I can be, and hopefully in the face of this, I can learn how to be better for myself and my family. And I'm a painter and a dreamer, and I love music, and I love art, and I love writing, and I love reading, and I love the outdoors, and all of the things I use to describe myself are not panic. And so I wanted to let it stop consuming the majority of my days so that I can just be me, my best self, and the version of myself that I describe when I talk about me. So I really want to thank you guys for taking the time to get to know us and for being panic partners that we don't even know we have yet. And I wish you the very best of luck in your journey. Please know you're not alone. And know that isolation is the worst place to put yourself. And if you at all are having thoughts of hurting yourself, or you just don't feel like this journey is worth it anymore, we will be posting all the information you need to find some resources to get yourself started on a path towards healing. And know that even if you feel very alone, Amanda and I will be here for you. Thank you very much.